I suggest you learn who you're dealing with before you start competing. That's what I would say about that. I would say about oh, I need somebody to animate that shit. Oh my god. Oh. Are you married? Are you married? Well, no, ma'am, I'm not. Understand, that one was a complete stranger to me. And I reflect back what people give me. She had an opportunity to come in and ask the question. But she came in with an intent to be a jerk because she's an upset woman. And the things I say bother her because they're true. They're true. And I'm sorry, ma'am. If what I say bothers you. Now, the prize is, I'm going to start making announcements on the prize and the
Watching Uncle Kevin go through that, it was simply a sight.
couple of years, what they're seeing is starting to be said, well, why is this? Now that's where we are. Because I thought a lot of the same things too. Why is this not happening? Until I started hearing the stories.
It's interesting as I'm listening to you talk, I'm thinking to myself, a lot of the anecdotes of women that you're describing don't relate to me, and they don't relate to women I'm friends with or that I know, or to, frankly, my audience. And so then I'm like, what we're doing is we're having discussions about traditional desires versus maybe more of a modern mindset, but then we're just using binary terms. So we're saying men and women. So you've got modern women who are criticizing your approach, but it's really the genuine truth of some women. I don't know many women who wanted to have a kid and didn't want to work after that. I definitely don't fit in that. My child gives me a why, she gives me meaning, and I love being a mom, but the purpose that I get from working is just a completely different energy. And I know that many women feel the same, that they feel a passion and they feel an excitement towards what they do for a living, what they offer. And so there's no desire to let that go once you've now, achieved another level of success intimately. So I just, in reflecting on that too, often I find that men who want want a traditional woman are criticizing modern women as part of the problem, and women who want more of a modern man are criticizing the traditional and saying that this is the issue.
Well,
That's what I liked what you said about the Facebook group that you have, where
Yeah.
you're taking people who've got
I
similar
did my own.
values.
I only took my own test because I thought a lot of the things you said, and then I put them in the room, and I said they operate the same. The human beings sort ourselves nicely when we are left alone. When we talk this social engineering, the Netherlands, one of the most egalitarian societies on the planet. Men are sorting themselves into the science, engineering, technology, math, industrial jobs. Women are starting to be overrepresented in healthcare, uh, education, things like that, because it's about choice.
Mm.
But I want to focus on something you're saying, our audiences. You have a college educated female audience. That's who made me famous. Because those are the, when I was doing 30,000, that's who was in their audience. That's who was calling in. Especially for Average at Best. Average at Best happened, so around November of 2020. For an entire year, I had been talking to other women. And that million plus on Instagram and on YouTube, I look at the numbers and I get the messages. I see them when I'm out and about. They are college educated bachelors, masters. That's what the old soundboard, I'm a PhD. If I went to show you the messages, how many women, yes, I can do this, I love my career, but when asked, do you want to have to work? The answer, almost 100% of the time, comes back no. Talking about PhD.
Well, that's why the Lotto 649 is a multi-billion-dollar industry that never died. The idea and the fantasy of early retirement, I think, is interesting to everybody. Doesn't mean that you would exercise that, I think, given the option. And if you see, I always, even that question of like, how many kids do you want? When you have one, make a decision on how many more you want from there.
But we're also not working in corporate America either. I'm talking about women who are Ivy League educated, PhDs, attractive women will tell you right now, I can date this guy that I want to be a housewife. Or I want to not have to work doing this because they're doing so much emotional labor. They're giving the nurture, the thing that a lot of women would like to be able to give to a relationship, to a job. That's why I was surprised when I asked the question, would you quit your full-time job to work part-time for your man? And normally I have a lot of views, but not comments. Black women in particular, you would have thought I was a different influence. I'm like, so while there are women in this space, or there are women who find a lot of value from their careers, it's not, we're typically on this side of the camera.
We've also seen a rise in stay-at-home dads, right? So now there's the notion that we're understanding that women's work is just as important or sometimes more important. And there's a lot of studies actually to show that balance actually works, that when the man stays home and looks after the child, and that could be logical for that partnership. So I love the fact that there are women. I think that's kind of the thing too, is that traditional women or men in a certain space look at it like I'm trying to discourage women from leaning into that. If your biological drive is to stay home and to nurture, and you want to do what your great grandmother did, because there's beauty in that, that's wonderful. I just don't know if that is the one size fits all story that we should say majority of women want to subscribe to.
Well, there always will be the anecdotal. What percentage of women, if you had to look at the sample size of women who are marrying age, would want to stay at home dad?
I'm not sure about that, because there's still a lot of emasculation, and we still have an issue with our definition of masculinity, and women still have to get over that. There's still a lot of work to do with women asking for men to be one thing and then putting themselves in a position to be good recipients of that. I love vulnerability. So I would flip the question and say, how many women want to stop working after having a child? How many women want to make massive sacrifices to their career as a result of having a family, versus how many women want to integrate and do both?
Well, most women don't have careers, they have jobs.
Yeah.
Most people don't have careers, they have jobs. So again, I think we're talking about
But I think people have visions. I think people have passions. I think that's what we do have now, is even if you are in a job, you have a passion for or pursuit for a career.
It's not, well,
I just think anecdotally, I would have to see stats, but I reflectively don't relate to the woman who's not interested in her personal footprint and legacy. And I don't know a lot of women whose aspiration is to have children and have a man look after her.
I'm not saying that they want to do that. I'm just looking, like I said, this is where I pull in the stats, the numbers. 74% of our women are making less than $50,000. So whatever a career is, where the rubber meets the road, a family still has to be raised. So, in the United States, 20 to 30% of people are business owners. That means 70 to 80% have jobs. aspirations or not, but one of the biggest reasons why so many women can't quit in this great resignation is because they don't have partners in which to do anything. So it's about choice. Now this is where I think um, a lot of people have almost come along saying high value men because we're almost having what many people consider an elite conversation, and we're talking about people with college degrees and businesses, this and that, and that's not the majority of folks. So um, the bigger question I think is for the people who don't have those choices, we're starting to see a decline in the middle class where I will ask women, okay, if you can't have a value man, okay, and you would give, and a woman as yourself, you would say you're an earner, you have a college degree, and you have average everything, okay, but could you be with an average man and work with him and his wife, and y'all have your kids and family, and every time I'm not gonna lie, when I talk to women, 90+% of the time the answer is no.
Mm.
I got to do all that, I'll be by myself. So what are we telling men that?
It's also the way you positioned it. If you positioned it now, you're with a partner who gives you space to pursue because they're taking care of the home. You're with a partner who is
Who's taking
supportive
care
of
the
you.
home?
No, your partner is.
They're
That you're,
both working.
but if your partner's taking on the brunt of because maybe you have a passion project, so saying what's important to you as an individual will be amplified within this relationship. It's going to alleviate pressure for you. This person's going to be supportive of you. Maybe they'll work for you part time. That so I think if the notion is
Well,
you
what I'm
have to
saying
do
is
all
both
this,
these people are working. They don't have. See, you're still going to their work. I'm talking about coming from Oklahoma, where you work at the plant.
I think the way that I heard it, let me just interpret it back to you and see if I misunderstood. But it sounded as if, well, if you have to take on the financial responsibility and if you're the person who is in the lead and you have to make all the decisions and you're with somebody who has a trade who's making less, is that a relationship that you want?
No. What I'm saying is, you're a teacher. You're making 50,000. He's a plumber. He's making 50,000. Okay, you're able to live your life and take care of yourself, and he's able to live his life, take care of himself. Could you be together and have a family if you still got to live your life? You still got to work, and even if you have children, you still got to work. He still has to work. You get FMLA, 13 weeks off, and then you guys do whatever you do. You work it out like most middle class people, and overwhelmingly. Women say, no, if I have to work as hard or harder when I'm married, then I'll stay single. So,
That makes me sad.
and this is what so many of my critics and detractors don't realize. It's like, well, what are we telling men they're worth? This is why this high value man thing is taking on such a virulent thing with so many men because the market, in this case women, have said, what about a life? Somebody chronicle your life to build with legacy. You don't get to travel to Paris, but Disneyland. And I'm like, well, what are we telling people? Based upon what I've lived in my life and seen, I know plenty of women who have said, they want to work and have their career. The reality has been they want the option to not have to. And then if they have that passion project, so they want to do something, they want to be, but they don't want that they're not bringing in that they lose the house, the car, the this, the that. And the thing is, if you're telling men that's the outcome you want, you shouldn't have a demand or an expectation because what it appears to be, from what the hundreds of thousands of conversations I had, is that women want everything, and most people can't afford that. And that's what I want to get down to. It's like, well, ladies, if you want a man who can provide a luxury lifestyle, do you want everything else that comes along with that? You may not see them as much, especially if they're corporate. We're having these conversations, and here's the reality. The men who can provide the kind of lifestyle, I will just say this. If 10% of men or less can provide that lifestyle, 50% or more of women want that lifestyle. The numbers don't match. Mm. So if you can't get the 10%, what are you willing to do? And that gets translated into settling. I'll be honest, a lot of times men are hearing they have to settle. Cool, if you got all the things you wanted, what is he going to get? Me. When if we flip the script, there's no way in Hades you're going to tell me that this woman would think she should settle for an average guy. She'd want someone on her level. So this is what men are saying. Men are saying if it's all right for women to want the best, then we should want what we're worth. And now that's where the war started. And I'm trying to tell people that you're not in this environment. It's an elite top 10, top 20, top 15, top 10%. Where are you really at? And adjust yourself. That's why that video went so viral. Her choice was, if I don't get this, I get nothing. That's why this has become such a contentious conversation, because it's so extreme.
And I think maybe this is why I don't find this conversation to be productive, because I don't feel personally inspired by it. I don't feel like I've gained anything. When I was talking to you about the Facebook group, because the basis of a bond is proximity, similarity, and attraction. So if you can offer proximity, and then you can put people who are similar together, and then attraction is the thing that's kind of the variable, you're likely to get these matches. But if we're focused on who deserves what and who should be getting what and who's asking for what, and then we're using very binary terms like men and women, but we're really talking about very different groups, to your point. So if I'm having a conversation about women, but I'm talking about a very small minority of women who are a certain education level, and that's not who you're talking about. You're talking about an Oklahoma-based woman who wants to be a stay-at-home mom. We're trying to pretend we're having the same dialogue, but we're really not. And then in the result of that, we're pissing people off, but then nobody's actually feeling empowered to better themselves and find a connection.
What I'm talking about is both groups. And that's why I said, where are the matchmakers and the people who are supposed to facilitate this? Because this Facebook group I started was just to see what would happen.
Yes.
And it proved it can happen. There was something used to back in the day called First Friday. Have you heard of that? First Friday?
Yes, but I would like an explanation because I may not
First
have the right
Friday, so back in the late 90s, early 2000s, in any city in the United States.
Appreciate it, y'all still tuned in. Like the video, subscribe to my channel. Let me know what you think about Mr. Kevin Sanders.
They had clubs, they had hip hop clubs, jazz clubs.
He speaks some real stuff
we going tonight?
sometimes.
What's the hot spot? Everybody's trying to figure out where
to
to
put a
go.
little bit down.
And it's like a rolling of dice. They came up with a concept called First Friday. They said the first Fridays of every month we're gonna throw a party at the most happening place in LA or in Dallas. And there's gonna be a jazz room, a hip hop room, an R&B room. And what would happen is you only had to go out one time. You had all these places were doing 3,000, 5,000 people. So it's like people were getting, instead of going out every weekend and happy hour and drinking, they'd go on the first Friday and they were finding people because people were motivated to go get the outcome. It was incentive based. So we can have the conversation, but we also need opportunities in person, virtual, like the mix to happen, because what you and I may do, because we're content creators, minor social scientists, we're set up different than most people. They don't really want to have all these conversations. They just want to get to the relationship. So that's where we're at now, trying to take it into the real world. And the philosophy class is one of the most frustrating classes, because the closer you get to the end of first year philosophy, the more questions you have. In second year, in third year. By third philosophy class, you stop taking philosophy.
Yes.
You know why? Because it's all a question.
That's the basis of it, right?
Yeah. But you get comfort. It's like war games. The best way to win is not to play, to get down to tic-tac-toe. Old school movie, look it up. Global thermonuclear war. You cannot go to war because everybody dies. So the computer learned the only way to win is not to play. So whatever we call it, I want you, you want me, let's make a deal. And right off into the sunset or the hills, whatever we do. I'm serious. I'm so dead serious. We are not that complicated. We go together.
We do.
We go together, and we want to be together. So I think this has been great, honestly.
No, I had a phenomenal time. I learned a lot, and I think that more than anything, I hope people affirm and champion the female orgasm. We touched upon it. We didn't go very deep into it, but
affirm and champion the female orgasm.
Yes, that's a great place to end.
Ooh. Thank y'all for tuning in to the B3 Left Your Ass Off. You know what I'm saying? Like, subscribe, share. You know what I'm saying? Let me know what y'all think about Mr. Kevin. Ladies, men's. You know what I'm saying? Trying to keep this new channel jumping by any means necessary. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Next time. on your boy B3. Be easy, not too breezy.